Yeah, yeah. I get nervous on the 2-story houses where I had to put bath fan vent caps up and I had the ladder up 2 stories. Well, at the beach, it's 3 stories really because you have that layer at the bottom down here
Sure.
where you can't put anything because
Because of the tide.
there's a tide, and then there's freeboard above the tide, which is a space where you can't build above the floodplain, and so nothing starts for about 10 foot up. So after 2 more stories, it'd be 30 foot up in the air, and I would just be shaking. Like, even putting a drill like right above me would feel like I was falling backwards.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't take it. I would do it, but I would not like it.
I
And I
got a
wouldn't go
job
any
right
higher.
now. It's an old building in downtown Elizabeth, and right down from my shop. And the guy's owned it. He's probably owned it for 3 years. His daughter's got a flower shop on the first floor, and then you have a second floor, which there's nothing up there. He didn't even have a key to the door. And he buys buildings. That's what he does. So I went out. He got a call from there used to be a bank right next to him, a downtown branch of the bank. And he got a call from them. They were putting a new roof on, and they called and said, "Your air conditioner's on our roof." And so he said, "Can you come and see what they're talking about?" So I went into the store first and walked in, and it had a newer Goodman furnace and Goodman coil. And then the line set turned and went straight up through a drop ceiling. And I took a flashlight and I looked up through there, and I could see forever before I saw the old ceiling of the building. So it was like 18-foot tall first floor ceiling.
Wow.
They'd put down a 10-foot drop ceiling. So I go upstairs, which you had to go out onto the street and open up a glass door and go into another building to even get upstairs in his building. I get up there and the door's locked and he can't find any keys. So we get a locksmith and he gets the door open. And I go in there, and this place looks like it's from the 70s. It had some like orange shag carpeting and, paneling on all the walls. And it too had a drop ceiling. But I was it was just junk everywhere. And I was trying to figure out what it was because there was rooms with these big glass windows just looking into the next room. And I'm wandering back through there, wondering if I'm going to fall through the floor, cobwebs. And I look on the door and it says WIDD studio, no admittance. So it was a radio station at one time.
That's crazy.
Back in, I looked and they didn't have that call letters went away in the early 80s or something. So I go back and his line set comes up through that floor, goes up about 6 foot in that room and went out through the side wall. And so I go out back, and sure enough, the bank building was much shorter than his building. So they just bunched it through the wall and set the condenser on his roof, put a disconnect, and it was one of those old tan Rudd units.
Oh, yeah.
Rooms.
Real old.
But an old tan one, and it was still working, but the roofers must have called the guy next, the owner, and said, "Hey, there's an air conditioning unit here, but it don't look like it's yours." And they said, "Well, cut it loose." And that's what they did.
Oh, really? They just cut it off and let the refrigerant? Oh, okay.
But what he's got to do now, he's going to have to put him a unit on top of his building, which is only a 2-story building, but Zack, these ceilings. I took my drone out there this morning, and the building's over 30 foot high for 2 stories.
Wow.
And you go down a few steps to get in the back of it because the alley's higher than the front street. Mm-hmm. So the stories, they're 15, 16 feet apiece. And there's no roof access. I took the drone to see because I could see something on Google Earth that looked like a little square that might have been a roof hatch next door.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was just a chimney they had blocked off
somewhere
along the way. So he's got to get a roof hatch put in because I told him, I'm not going up a ladder on a 32-foot building. No way, no how.
No, what are you going to do? You got to put a condenser up there.
Yeah, he'll have to get somebody to set it up there.
No kidding.
I was able to get him of course, that newer Goodman furnace was 410A compatible. So the coil on top of it. So I just found a 410A condenser before they was all gone and got it sitting at my shop waiting on him to figure out how he's going to get me on the roof.
Oh, man. Oh, that sounds like because the downtown in Wilmington, which is the big town in my area where we did a lot of work, is like that too. There's so many buildings right next to each other, and the electrical can be a nightmare. I mean, you see wires going to the back, and there'll be like stuff it's like a museum of electrical wiring going back into the early 1900s. There'll be knob and tube on some of the old buildings up in the top of it. And you can see, well, a lot of them have caught fire. They're like, well, okay, we can figure this out. The wood's dry. Yeah, you can kind of put it together what happened. It's just incredible. I'm wondering, could you put a condenser on like a side platform? off the side of the building, or would the brick pull out because downtown
Well,
here?
it's,
The
it's
brick would
pretty
pull out the
bad
wall.
looking, but the worst thing is on this particular building, you got the front street, which Elizabethton built this concrete roofed canopy down the streets to make it more like a mall where you're not walking from store to store in the rain, you know. So they've got that on the front, so there's not much you can do there. In the back, it's an alleyway that's barely wide enough for a car to go through now.
Oh
So
yeah,
you'd have to have it up above the cars. And then on the sides, it's buildings on both sides of you. And
yeah.
this
It's kind of
particular
travel.
building was built, it was about a half a block. You can tell it's all one building, but then it was divided up and sold to probably three different people, three different pieces of it
Yeah.
is now owned by different people. That's why he has to go outside to go upstairs, because he's actually going upstairs through the other people's building, but it's deeded access. So when I saw that little square, I thought it was up at the top of those stairs above the drop ceiling, and there was
Yeah.
a hatch. I felt like
False
if he had
alarm.
access to the stairs, he had probably had access to the hatch, but it wasn't a hatch.
Oh my gosh. Well, that can be kind of a nightmare. Yeah. And some of the buildings, like I said, if you would have tried to fasten something to the side, it would just fallen off or something. Some of those bricks are the hardest thing in mankind's history. It feels like some of them older bricks, and then some of them look like they're about to fall off. The
Well,
whole
it
wall's
just
going to
depends
fall
on
over.
how they've been taken care of. You can look up and see a lot of the brick. There's no mortar left in them, and of course, the only thing holding brick up is gravity.
Yeah.
If you take out the mortar in between them, eventually it all comes down.
Oh yeah, we need one of them revitalization projects. You know,
No doubt. They
along
did
with the
that back in
concrete
the
mall.
70s.
Yeah.
We had a
Yeah.
really cool hotel here in town. I think Truman came when he was running for president, you know, and everything. And so they decided it was old and didn't look good. So they tore it down in the 70s, made a parking lot, you know.
Oh man, Truman, that's been a while.
Yeah.
I believe that was the late 40s, wasn't it?
I would assume so. I'm not that.
He dropped the bomb, as I recall. So that would have been late 40s up until
Yeah.
what? I guess Eisenhower
Yeah.
after that.
Ike would have been the next.
I like Ike. Well,